Welcome to another episode of Sports and Discourse with your host, Derek Stevenson. And I'm just having a chill weekend, man. My wife is out of town. She took her daughter to a music festival down in Florida. I'm just kicking back, relaxing. I'm watching the Masters, man. And, it's actually, it feels good to see Tiger Woods back out there doing his thing at the Masters, man. Tiger Woods is probably one of my favorite athletes. Well, Michael Jordan is probably my favorite athlete, but I think Tiger Woods is probably the greatest athlete that I ever seen play. And the reason why I think that is because I started playing golf when I was 29, and I just realized it's probably the hardest thing I ever did in my life. So I'm glad to see Tiger back out there, and hopefully he can have a strong finish and get back in the mix, man. It's good to see him. And hopefully, he can get a couple more majors, man. I would really like to see him break Jack Nicholson's record and become the all-time major winning champion or whatever, however you want to say it. But the reason why I'm actually doing this episode is because I've been seeing a whole lot of noise about whether LeBron James should have sat out or whether he should have chased the scoring title. And I just wanted to do a little commentary on it real fast. I'm going to try not to make it too long. But in short, I wish that he would have went on and tried to get that scoring title, man. And I'm going to tell you why. I love scores. I love scores, man. That's why Michael Jordan is my favorite player, man. I like guys that score the basketball in bunches. And one of the main criticisms that I've always had of LeBron James is that he's just too passive, man. Like, this is my thing, right? If I would have ever had a chance to coach LeBron James, and I know we gotta get real hypothetical here, and I don't like to really do hypotheticals, but let's just ride the hypothetical wave for a second. If I would have had the chance to coach LeBron James, I would have forced him to shoot the ball. And here's the thing. LeBron James, even being passive, is still going to give you 30 points. Some nights he's capable of doing 40, even 50. But I just wish that he would have been a little more selfish in his career. And it's hard to tell a guy like that to be selfish, I know, because he's one of the best passers that I've ever seen play the game. I mean, you can make a case. You could probably make a case that there isn't 15 guys that could pass the ball better than LeBron James. And I'm talking some of the greatest point guards. Like, if we did a list, like, who really can pass the ball better than LeBron James? Like I said, 15 players, but maybe I don't even know if I can go to 15. I'm just trying to be respectful. I'm trying to give the great point guards their dues and just not throw a big power forward type of guy in there and say he's better than all of them. But if we really keeping it real, I probably can't go 15. But the point I'm trying to make is that I feel like if LeBron James would have had focused more on scoring, he might have actually had 6 titles. He might actually have put the Jordan guys like myself in our place, man. Because to be honest with you, it's just hard for me to say he's better than Michael Jordan, even though he gets all the stats. He's old and he's still playing at a high level. But it's just hard for me to say he's better than Jordan because I feel like he left some championships on the table, man. Jordan went and got all his. And I feel like LeBron could have, but he's just such a good team player that it actually works against him sometimes. And here's the reason why I think that is. Like, I'll take myself, for example, right? I was never a big time scorer. I never was a great outside shooter, and I was a point guard body size, right? So I had more of a like power forward center type of skill set. If I would have grew to be 6'10", I probably could have played in the NBA today with the way they let the forwards dribble the ball and all of that stuff. Because my ball handling was good enough. It wasn't exceptional. It was good enough. But that mid range to into the basket, that's where I tried to make my money from, right? So I didn't have a whole bunch of games where I exploded for like 40, 50 points because I wasn't a great outside shooter. And I feel like LeBron James plays with guys that are like not my equivalent. Obviously, everybody in the NBA is better than me. But what I'm saying is he gives players like me too much responsibility. He gives them the ball too much. Like, you going the whole game, you cooking, you got 30 points, and at the end of the game, you going to give me the ball? Like, we're going to lose. Like, that's not what my job is. My job as a role player is to give you 2 points here, give you 4 points there. You know, if I get really hot, I'm going to give you 8.25. But the majority of the time, I'm just supposed to be playing solid defense, rebounding, not turning the ball over, and pitching in a couple of points here and there. That's what my responsibility as a role player is. So the whole entire game, LeBron's scoring, but he's passing. But then at the end of the game, guys that aren't really prolific scorers, you can't give them the ball at the end of the game and expect that they're going to have the confidence or make the right plays always. Like, a lot of times, you know, J.R. Smith got killed when he played with LeBron. And a lot of the time was, you know, J.R. Smith just ain't really as good as, like, let me not be disrespectful. J.R. Smith was really good, but he's not superstar good. So if you expecting him to make all the right plays and hit the top, you know, clutch baskets at the end of the game, he's not going to be able to do that for you. So I feel like LeBron James plays the whole game. He gets everybody involved, but then he keeps doing it in the fourth quarter in the clutch moments, and it kind of messes things up because you put players that aren't that talented in situations to make plays that the GOATs should be making. And at that point, it's your responsibility to make the plays. Like, I know, you know, several weeks ago, he got criticized for driving to the basket, and instead of trying to score the ball, he kicks it out to Carmelo Anthony for a 3, and Carmelo Anthony missed. But I feel like at that point, that's your responsibility to try to score the basketball. Carmelo Anthony probably wasn't expecting you to pass him the ball, even though he knows you're a passer, because if Carmelo Anthony was in his prime, he's not passing you the ball right there. He's trying to get the bucket. And I feel like if I was coaching LeBron James, I would have forced him. I would have said, listen, I'm going to get you a point guard to get the other players' shots, right? And when I get this point guard, he's going to make sure everybody else is in rhythm. He's going to make sure everybody else is touching the ball. But when you get the ball, you try to score. They let LeBron James dribble his whole entire career. So most people, it's natural unless you're just extremely selfish, right? And I mean, like, you got to be a real selfish dude to bring the ball up the court and try to shoot it every time. Most people that play basketball, if they bring the ball up the court, they probably going to be looking, you know, surveying everything, trying to see who's open, right? So you coming up and you looking and you see something unfolding and boom, you dish it, right? But that's not what the best player on the planet should be doing. You shouldn't be coming up the court trying to figure out ways to get less talented guys shots. They should have took the ball out of his hand, let him run up the court, start around, you know, maybe he could start on the baseline or on the block or something, and you have something in the works to get him a shot to where when he catches the ball, he's already close to the basket and he can just try to score. And if he gets cut off, okay, cool, I get it. Then you got to pass. And one of the things that, you know, a lot of people like to bring up and compare when Michael Jordan passed the ball a couple of times for some big shots. Like, he passed it to John Paxson one time. He hit a big shot. He passed it to Steve Kerr. That's probably the most famous situation because he was in the huddle telling Steve Kerr, like, you be ready. I'm going to pass you the ball and you going to hit. And people like to go, well, Jordan did it. So what's the difference? Here's the difference. I think Jordan was just letting Steve Kerr know, more than likely, they're going to double team me. So if I can't score the basketball, I need you to make sure that if I drop it off to you, you can score the basketball. But I believe 100% that Michael Jordan was thinking he was going to shoot the basketball. He just happened to, sometimes you got to have a plan B in your back pocket. So his plan B was if they, they probably going to double team me because they know I want to shoot the basketball. So just be ready in case they do and you going to score. But if they don't, I'm going to score. And the difference between him and LeBron is I think LeBron James wants to get, and here's the thing, LeBron James is so smart. Sometimes I think he's too smart for his own good because he just can't help it. He's going to make the right play, right? He doesn't care. He doesn't really necessarily look at a person and go, oh, that person's not really a great shooter. Let me pass up on him. He just goes, that dude is open and that's where the ball's supposed to go. Boom. And he gets it to him. Like he does the skip passes over top of the defense. Like he hits people on the money for wide open shots. If you a real good shooter, you're going to shine when you play with LeBron. That's why a whole lot of these other guys have gotten overpaid, man. Like LeBron James has gotten a whole lot of dudes that aren't really that good overpaid because he just puts them in situations that makes the game so easy for them, except for in the clutch moments. Because at the end of the day, man, when those lights get real bright and the situation is like real serious, it's only a few guys that can really live up to that hype, man. And the thing about LeBron James, I know he struggles with his free throws, right? He shoots normally 67 to 70%. He can get a little hotter. I think he's a little higher than that this year, He might be up around 74, 75. I haven't checked in a minute, so correct me if I'm wrong on that. But normally he's around 70%, which is kind of low for, a guy that scores a whole lot of points. And people always say, well, he's scared to shoot those clutch free throws. And this is what I would tell him if I was his coach. I would say, you might be a bad free throw shooter, but you still hit 60 to 70% of them. Even a good 3-point percentage shooter is still only going to hit 50%. Steph Curry is still only going to hit 1 out of every 2 of his threes. So at the end of the day, you still shoot free throws better than you shoot jump shots. So just drive to the basket and try to score. And if you get fouled, you still going to hit more free throws than you're going to hit jump shots. And that's fine with me. And if you miss them, then cool, we'll live with that. Like, no big deal. We did what we were supposed to do, and it just didn't work out. But you got to try to make something happen, because even if you keep putting pressure on the defense, you keep driving, you getting fouled, you shooting free throws, whether you hitting or missing, you still helping the team because you getting them closer to the bonus. You making guys have to switch up their aggression on defense. Like, I like to say that I was an okay defender, right? Like, I pride myself on being a good defender. And the reason why I think I was a good defender, because I have really long limbs. Pause. I have a 6'3" wingspan, and like, I think my hands are like 9 inches or some shit. And it's been like that since I was in like 8th grade. So I look like, you know how the trolls look when they got their hands dragging on the floor? That's how I looked in 8th grade, like a big ass troll, you know what I'm saying? So I felt like I had a lot of range, and I wasn't an extremely like good leaper, but I could jump high enough. And with my big ass hands and long arms, I could block shots, I could rebound solid. So that's what I focused on doing, right? But I feel like, if you put pressure on somebody, you force them to change up their defensive strategies. Like, if I was guarding LeBron and he's just driving me to the hole, at some point I'm going to have to ease up off of him a little bit, especially in the late game situation, because it's like, all right, am I going to foul out, or am I going to try to play a little less physical and hope that he just misses some shots? And you have to pick your poison, right? And I think that even if he was missing free throws, if he was still putting pressure on the defense to make those type of decisions and adjustments, he's still helping the team. And I wish that he would have just had a coach that would have not been afraid to get fired and just pushed him to score, right? Because at the end of the day, his coaches get fired anyways. Like, they all have gotten fired, except for Spoelstra. Like, Spoelstra's like the only one that made it. Like, every other coach is getting fired. And the only reason I think Spoelstra made it is because Pat Riley was kind of like, Pat Riley had just a big enough ego to be like, nah, LeBron, like, we not doing it your way. We doing it my way. Spoelstra's my guy. So you either gonna rock with him or you got to bounce. And they did have some decent success. I still would actually say that their stint in Miami was a little underwhelming because at the end of the day, they went 50%. They did 2 or 4. And you just figure they should have been able to at least get 3 or 4, if not all 4, right? But at least 3. So, it was a little disappointing. But I feel like, he just always needed a coach that was willing to stand up and coach the way that they want to coach and push him instead of being scared, man. Because when you're scared, you get fired anyways. And I think Tyronn Lue was like a nice mixture. Tyronn Lue kind of catered to LeBron, but then on the other note, if he pissed Tyronn Lue off, Tyronn Lue would cuss LeBron out, right? Like I think he notoriously told LeBron, like, are you going to coach the fucking team or are you going to let me coach? Like, shut the fuck up and let me coach. Like, he said something wild to him like that, which is, like that probably like took LeBron back. Like, damn. But LeBron handled it, man. LeBron's grown. He's a big guy. Like, he can take it, man. Like, I'm sure he don't have a problem being coached. He probably would have actually appreciated a coach to really, really like push him, man. Like, I know he likes to be in control of shit. And that's why he's probably the best businessman, athlete. It's probably a tie between him and Floyd Mayweather, who's actually the best businessman in the middle of their career, right? Because, you got some guys like Tiger Woods ended up making $1 billion. Michael Jordan ended up making $1 billion. But, like, the guys that was really manipulating their careers, it's probably between LeBron James and Floyd Mayweather as far as like just being able to just manipulate this and set this right and get this amount of money. Like, no dudes have done it better than them two. And that's helped LeBron James to establish the power that he has. But I think it's kind of hurt him as a player, man. And it's kind of left him with some disappointing moments in his career. But, to circle back, man, I just wish that he would have scored more and just went after it a little more, and just lived with the results. Just go for it, man. If you fail, you fail. Like shit, look at KD last year, man. He gave everything he had in that Milwaukee series, and he was down a couple players, and he fought to the end and came up short. And it happens sometimes, man, but he went out gunning. Like, he tried. He did everything he could, and he just lost. And, I still respect that. And I just seen some moments in LeBron's history where I wish he would have just gutted it out and just went for it, man. And if he would have fucked it up, then cool, I understand, man. I would have appreciated that more than seeing you just not go for it and you pass the ball and you like, putting the responsibility in the hands of your role players, man. I just didn't really respect that as much, and I wish that he would have just took a different angle towards the game. But that's just my personal opinion, man. Anyways, I ain't gonna harp too long on it. I just wanted to let y'all know that I wish that LeBron James would have just played and try to get that scoring title, man. Because at the end of the day, he's 37 years old, I believe. And that still would have been something to be proud of. Like, his team was terrible. They didn't make the playoffs. But damn, at least if he would have got the scoring title, he could have at least probably felt like, well, I accomplished something this year. And I would have had liked for him to get that, man. Like, the dude's he's too good to have only won the scoring title one time. Like, there's a lot of players that's, he's way better than that can say they got this award more time than him and probably don't deserve it. So I was a little disappointed in Brian, man, and I just wish he would have went for it. And I understand the situation that he was in because most of the time I'm a LeBron hater because I'm a Jordan guy. So most of the time I'm gonna critique anything that he does. But I just wish he would have went for this one, And I get it. Some people would have hated on him and said, "Oh, he's just stat padding." So he's kind of was in a lose-lose situation. But fuck it. You might as well, if you're gonna get hated on either way, you might as well get some kind of hardware, right? You're not gonna get a ring for this year. So you might as well have took home some kind of hardware, man. So anyway, y'all let me know, what do you think about it? Do you feel like he should have went for it? Do you feel like he should have did, that he did the right thing by setting out? Just let me know how you feel about it, and we'll get back at it again. Sports and Discourse, Derek Stevenson.